And hello, my fellow nerds. This is Oracle Nerd here, and welcome back once again to our Wonderland Remastered. So last time we had gotten attacked by a bunch of tomatoes, but Jerry and his merrily band of rabbits apparently saved us, and now they're hopefully guiding us to some place we can rest, so we can then infiltrate the castle where Orlum is probably sitting. Anyways, Jerry leads us through the rapidly darkening woods, pausing every few minutes to survey the perimeter, his ears twitching. It's not far, though. We reach a clearing with a strangely conspicuous stump surrounded by a strangely conspicuous patch of brush. Jerry goes straight up to it and gives the thing a solid knock with his foot. It pops open. Hum along, hum along then. He gestures towards us before hopping inside a newly revealed passage. God, if it turns out to be some kind of Silence of the Lambs shit, it'll be fine. Only with rabbits, it'll be fine. Rabbits wearing human suits, that's like the opposite of a furry. Genzo, get in the rabbit stump hole. Cut, fuck, fine, I'm going. We go down the hole. Okay, now we're literally going down the rabbit hole. In a literal sense, but okay, technically it's not a rabbit hole, it's a stump, but whatever. The ladder is a bit tricky to navigate, one of those rope ones that constantly attempts to twist away from your reaching foot. But we make it down in one piece, the three of us gazing around our new environs as our remaining squadron of Iggies continues their descent behind us. It's larger than I expected it to be. I'm almost homey? It's almost homey? A great big cave carved out of dirt, but lined with mosses and roots and hanging vegetalia. The curving around the path underfoot, ebbing and flowing with rhythm of the land. At the end, there's a small opening that appears to lead out onto the sort of moonlit overlook. Built into the cliffs, then? My follow-up begins to engage it, my head on a swivel as I take in the beds of the brush and leaves, and boulder-like tables with plates of breads and wooden stains of frothy beverages. And the rabbits, because there's certainly no lack of them. All around us, staring at us as we make our way through the dimly lit path leading down the cave center. Some of them are lounging on their beds, feet perched on knees and ears to rest. Some of them are gathered around the tables and partaking in victuals, engaging in stories or raucous card games. And still others are exercising, though perhaps training would be a better word given the cobbled together punching bags and target boards. One of them is even boasting a rather crudely drawn yet still recognizable likeness of Orlum in his kingly attire. I get so absorbed in the staring agog at my surroundings that I don't even notice how far behind I've gone with the others. So one of the rabbits hops down from the perch right beside me, nose twitching, eyes narrowed. I jump backwards with a small squawk, then give a little jog to catch up with getting the others. The center of the room is a round table, seemingly cut from the stump of an enormous tree. It's currently covered with an assortment of maps and papers. To the right of it is a sunken fire pit, cozy and crackling as its light dances across the walls. When Jerry reaches the table, a few of the rabbits who had been poring over documents stand up straight, pointing us at us to salutes. Jerry gestures towards us with a flick of his ears. Get them some beds for the night, and food. He glances back, and we make momentary eye contact. I stand up a little straighter. Oh, and that one's gonna need a medic. Sir, yes, sir. The rabbits start into action, wrapping blankets around our shoulders, fetching us mugs, ushering us towards the fire. It all happens quite quickly, to the point that it makes my head whirl. Though just as I'm about to sit down with the others, a set of paws find me, guiding me past the pit and towards another corner of the cave, in what appears to be an infirmary of sorts. They're not particularly gentle with me. Splayed out on one of the wooden cots, there's a yank the dried gauze off my shoulder and get to work. First cleaning it, then searing it with alcohol. Ow. And then applying some sort of goopy ointment from the tube. Before finally going in to replace the stitches. It hurts, but not as much as I expect it should. The result of whatever they used, perhaps. It still makes for an uncomfortable time, though. I find myself groaning in spite of myself, tears springing in the corners of my eyes as I grip the side of the cot. By the time they're finished, I have replaced the gauze. I'm out of breath and out of sorts. But at least I'm no longer bleeding. One of the rabbits rewraps the blanket around my shoulders, giving my hair a semi-encouraging tousle. Up, he gestures. We'll check it again tomorrow. Right. I pulled the edges of the blanket in tighter around my frame, feeling all of a sudden shy. I'm handing the mug and shoot away. It tingles against my fingertips, warm. I start shuffling back towards the fire. Only given her half jump, I see Jerry leaning against the wall, only a few paces away, just staring at me. My voice cracks. Jerry's nose twitches. He hacks something up in the back of his throat, spits it on the ground. I glance down the resulting glimmer of ooze. Finally, without saying anything else, he steps forward, extending his hand. I stare at it. Stares at me. Not knowing what else to do, I take it in an awkward shape. For all that, you know? I blink. Cause, a rabbit's gotta do what a rabbit's gotta do, you know? Another blink. He just keeps shaking my hand. We can put all that behind us, yeah? What the heck are you talking about? Jerry jerks away, his hand angrily, front teeth gnashing. I'm trying to apologize to you. You blundering ignoramus. That was an apology? I thought it was pretty damn clear. Shaking my hand and making vague allusions to things I barely remember. Jerry flicks his head away with a growl. I can see him biting down on his bottom lip. Look, I did some things I regret. Am I proud of them? He pauses. Actually, yes. Yes, I am. But that's beside the point. The point now is that things have gone fucked beyond all reason. And it'll be in mutual interest of both parties to stop this runaway train of unhindered horrors before our ticket are stamped through to the last stop. I turn to my Jason blinking, just holding my mug against my chest. Jerry watches me for a moment. Then presses his lips together, his ears curling in on themselves in crinkly embarrassment. He turns away. So, yeah, that was all. We'll discuss strategy tomorrow. Get some rest. Then he twists on his heels and goes storming off. I simply stare at him at a loss. Was he? I blink. Again. Then shake my head. I'm still woozy from the operation. Some food and rest by the fire would do me a world of good right about now. So at a final glance, at Jerry's retreating form, I head towards the center of the cave and the flickering light of a fire beyond. Oof. Honestly, it's a lot to take in. Like, yeah, but you know, we spend the night feasting, laughing, warming our bones with frothy ale and fireside joviality. Despite the initial dubious reception, the rabbits take to us immediately, the Iggies especially. Once they've been patched up, they join the rabbit card games and drinking competitions, even partaking in a few bouts of dagger darts with the targets on the wall. And the rabbits themselves can't get enough of it, hooping and hollering at the stakes, and their levels of inebriation rise. I feel the warmth of the alcohol rise to my own cheeks. Watching one of the rabbits relay an exuberant story of one of the many battles against the King's Men, as they call their more violent brethren. Jerry even joins in towards the end, insisting that the injury he'd succumbed to in the story had been the result of a certain rabbit named Leroy jumping the gun. Oh my god, really? Leroy Jenkins! Oh my god, he just ran right in. I think there was a moment of that show Phineas and Ferb that actually parodied that, which is Buford yelling his own name and Phineas going, oh my gosh, he just ran right in. I think there was actually a clip of that. I just don't remember where the clip was. Damn it, Leroy. Which launches all them into raucous debate that I lose track of about 5 minutes. But it doesn't really matter at that point. I'm mostly just tuning out the words, focusing instead on the warm hum of the voices, the crackle of the fire, the warm tingle running up and down my skin. The way Genzo's hand keeps finding my shoulder whenever he laughs, squeezing it in time with his mirth, his smile bright and contagious in the flickering light. The way Gidget keeps checking to see if I need anything, refilling my empty mug, grabbing one of the pokers, the fire roasted mushrooms, so I don't need to get up. I feel safe, secure, just there with my friends, surrounded by warmth and laughter. I let my gaze drop to the fire, just staring at the dancing embers. And when things finally start to die down, I feel a sort of contented tiredness settle over me. I pull back my blanket around my shoulders as I wander around, trying to figure out where to put my empty mug. One of the others must notice my confusion because he takes it from me with a somewhat astonished smile, telling me I should just have left it wherever. Oh, I responded, suddenly sheepish. Then watch him walk away with it, feeling as though I just parted with something dear. I give my head a shake. God, I need sleep. I start back towards the other end, the small section of beds where we'd been given on the other side of the fire pit. Around me, rabbits are yawning, stretching, lounging across their beds. I saw Iggy's doing the same up ahead, each of them carefully and painstakingly preparing their beds for the night ahead. There's something cozy about the sight. All of us settling down for a long winter's nap. Or something. Though this summons a pang of disquietude in my stomach. If only that were all we were settling down for. Not whatever awaits us in the castle and the forest beyond. We press my lips together with a quiet sigh. Then spot Genzo sitting on his bed against the far wall. He's curled up in his blanket, watching the Iggy's in mild amusement as he leans against the earthen surface of the cave. I glance over for Gidget, only I don't see them. Not in any of the beds, not helping the rabbits tending to the fire pit, not in the infirmary corner, where I see final lingering Iggy emerge with a fresh bandage pasted across his forearm. Blink and tilt my head, then turn to the direction of the glow of the moonlight and the opening at the end of the cave, leading out to the overlook and the sea trees and stars beyond. I catch a glimpse of blonde hair just past the edge of the tunnel. Ah, another blink. I turn my gaze back towards Gento, then towards Gidget. Oh, oh, now we have a choice. Well, I did say that we're gonna be doing the Genzo route for this one, so let's go talk to Genzo. I pause for a moment, watching the Iggy's prepare their bunks, then wander past them to the far wall. Genzo glances up at my approach, his eyes tired but worried. He looks quite small, all hunkered down in the bottom bunk. I duck slightly and dip my head beneath the slats of the bed on top. Do I need some sort of password to get in? Genzo blinks and laughs. It does have that vibe, doesn't it? Very Secret Fort-esque. All you need is a do not enter sign hanging from the top. I paused for only a moment before ducking the rest of the way and crawling up onto the bed. Then tucked my blanket tight around my shoulders and leaned back against the cave wall next to him. It's cozy in here. Mm. We sat there for a moment in silence, gazing out the Iggy's and their nighttime preparation rituals. I can't help but laugh to myself as I watch one of the Iggy's on the end lie down, get up, lie down again and again. Kenzo turns to his gaze to me, brows furrowing. How you holding up? I'm okay, a bit sore, but they repatched me up and everything, so at least I'm not bleeding everywhere anymore. Genzo grunts and turns back. His eyes look darker than usual, his face soft and dour. How are you holding up? I ask softly. He blinks. What's that supposed to mean? I take a moment to find the words, careful as they roll across my tongue. We're going to the castle tomorrow. A pause. I'd imagine the thought can't be comforting after everything. Another grunt from Genzo. Though I can't tell if that's a grunt of affirmation or a grunt telling me to shut up. I just want to get that fucker and get the hell out of here. I let my gaze fall to my knees. I feel a question buzzing between my lips. Knowing it's there makes my heart start to thrum. Nervous pangs twist in my gut. I'm not sure if I can get it out. Don't say anything about you and Orlum. Oh. Well, we kind of need to know more, don't we? About you and Orlum. Miller's part, which just makes my heart pound even faster. My face feels like it's burning, heart clenching. But I push through it all the same. About you and Orlum. God, I said it. I said it. I wince, lick my lips, and glance over at him. His face remains unchanged. I continue. What happened between you two? He doesn't look at me, just keeps staring out into the cave. I see his brows twitch, his jaws clench ever so slightly. Finally, he brings up his hand, rubbing his eyes. Something that shouldn't have. I put my knees against my chest, staring down at the pattern of the blanket beneath us. I know that, after what happened, with you and me. I bite down my lips, searching for the words. After the accident, I mean. Genzo bites down on his knuckle, looking away. He helped you, yeah? Silence. At school? More silence. Because yeah, we got pretty close. I stop. Blink. Genzo's teeth are practically gone through the skin of his knuckles by this point. And I see a glimmer of tears in the corner of his eyes. He doesn't say anything else for a moment. Then, I let him get too close. His brows furrow further, to the point that I can barely see his eyes. And then his voice catches. Took advantage of that. I don't say anything at first. Just listening to the sound of my breath, the sound of my heart. I don't know what to think. It's not like some part of me didn't know, but I chew on the inside of my cheek, thinking about them. I don't know how it makes me feel. Strange? In a way I can't quite explain. Is it because of how bad I feel bad about what happened? About the way Genzo treated Orlum? Yes, but also something else. A weird twist in my gut that I'd never felt before. A longing. Hurt. I bend my face to my knees, the fabric of my pants rough against my lips. My breath leaves a warm, wet spot against my skin. Finally, he really did like you, huh? Yeah. Silence. And I knew it too. I see Genzo's lips trembling. I'm not a good person, Iggs. He winces. Then he gets riffling through his pockets, desperately almost. Fuck. He pulls out cigarettes. Fuck. Places one to his lips. Soon the smoke is drifting around our heads, catching beneath the top bunk like a darkened rain cloud. I watch the tip of the cigarette bounce up and down between his teeth. Unsure if he'll continue. After a few good long drags, he does. I hurt people. I don't care. I'm a miserable asshole who wants to make everyone around him miserable too. A pause. I see his fingers shaking, his eyes straining. I do try. I try to be better. He sniffs and coughs. But then my mouth will just run away again. Brings his free hand up. I just can't fucking stop it. It pounds his palm against his chin in time with his words. I grimace as I watch, shiver despite the blanket around my shoulders. Genzo sighs and I see him tap a hunk of ash over the side of the bed. When have I ever brought anything positive into anyone's life, huh? He grunts, takes a long drag, and I watch the smoke billow out across his lips. I'm quiet at first, not saying anything, just sitting there, fingers running over the gauze on my shoulders, pattern rough against my skin. Then the words slip out, barely more than a whisper. You were the only one. Huh? Genzo glances in my direction for the first time since I sat down. I press my lips together and swallow, then say it again a little louder. You were the only one. Only one what? who accepted me. Genzo just looks at me, cigarette hanging from his lips. For, for who I am, no questions asked. I feel water rise to my eyes, but I blink it back, my eyes and my cheeks, my entire face warm to the touch. The only one who never made me feel guilty, less loved, like something was wrong with me. A tiny tear manages to make it past my emotional barrier, winding its way down my cheek. I brush it away quickly, hoping Genzo hasn't seen it. Even though it was probably hard for you, my voice cracks. Since I figured you must have seems to rouse Genzo from his self-deprecating slump just because he pushed himself up against the wall. Brows furrowing with their usual snap as he grabs a cigarette between his fingers. Must have what? But I can't respond, I can't say it. I try, but all that comes out is a strange little squeak as I flap my hands in frustration. Genzo blinks. Then it seems to register. Fuck that noise, he balks. Doesn't matter how many times I've gone off thinking about you. None of that holds a candle to how important you are to me. And just being with you and getting to hold you and his words slow as both of us just look at each other, cheeks an identical shade of crimson. They seem to realize what he's saying. He turns away with a jerk and shoves the cigarette back into his mouth. I stare down on my knees, face feeling very warm. I cough into my fist, adjust my glasses, now mildly foggy. Anyway, you made me really happy, I guess. So, in spite of everything, I just wanted to thank you. Genzo waggles a cigarette with a smirk. Yeah, just don't let it get out though, yeah. All the sexuals will be all over me, and come get your piping hot respect for sexual boundaries or something. The suddenness of this brings a croaking laugh up my throat, up through my throat, so fast I nearly choke. I lean forward as a stifle half snort makes its way down my nose. The tears I've been trying to hold back squeezing out between my eyelids. Genzo's face softens, a tiny smile playing out his lips. He taps the ash off his cigarette again, then settles back against the wall, taking long drags as he stares back up at the bottom of the overhead bunk. I glance at him. You're really gonna give me this choice and expect me not to pick the first one? There's something about him right now. Leaning back against the wall, smoke drifting up over his head. Maybe it's the cave. Maybe it's the intense battle we went through earlier. Or the rabbits, food, drinks, or the deluge of emotions I've just experienced in the last 5 minutes, but all of a sudden I just really want to be close to him. I don't know how to comfort him with my words, how to pay him back for what he did for me back at the kiddie cruise. My brain doesn't quite work that way, maybe. Without saying anything, I shift back a little and pull my blanket against my shoulders and... Oh, look at them! Lean over towards him. They're so freaking cute together. Look at them! His shoulder is soft against my cheek, warm. I feel him stiffen just slightly beneath me. You tired, Eggs? His voice cracks. There's a sudden huskiness to it. Guess you've, had a pretty long day. A pause. We all have. It grows silent. Nothing but sound of his breath next to me. The feeling of his chest moving up and down. Just him and me in our tiny little alcove in a cave beneath the ground. There's something incredibly warm about that thought. Safe. And for the first time all day, I feel residual tension in my body begin to reside. My eyes flutter closed, then back open, and closed again. So warm. My own little cocoon. Our own little cocoon. They're so cute. You falling asleep there, Iggs? I feel Genzo's chest thumb beneath me at the words. It reverberates up to my cheeks and jaw, a comforting buzz. I haven't even realized how tired I am. Everything that happened today finally catching up to me, I guess. I can feel my breath slowing, my body growing heavy, a little deeper still by the rise and fall of Genzo's chest. Something brushes against the top of my head, a warm weight, Genzo's cheek pressing against my hair. I can feel myself fading. The last tendrils of my consciousness start drifting away. The tickle of breath as Genzo's lips move, forming words that are barely audible against my scalp. I love you, Eggs. But I'm already asleep. They're so adorable together. I love them. Seriously, Carrot knows how to make a really good visual novel. This is really good. I awake the next morning to the smell of something cooking over the fire. It's a delightful smell that makes the tip of my nose twitch. When I creep my eyes open, I see a soft sunlight filtering in from the back tunnel, blanketing in the cave in a warm light. I start to sit up, then stop. My gaze looks from the view of the cave to the shadow of the overhead bunk to the black clothed arm my face is currently buried in, as well as the accompanying jewel patches eloquently left on it. Oh, right. I blink. Genzo's still fast asleep, quiet snores crackling in the back of his throat. He looks so peaceful, his face soft and droopy, his hair mused across his forehead. He hasn't moved a muscle apparently, so he wouldn't bother my sleep. Whether true or not, this thought tugs at my heart, and I press my cheek back against his shoulder with an appreciative nuzzle. I feel incredibly warm, a comfortable shroud of security wrapped around me like a blanket. I need to get up, though. The smell of food is making my stomach growl. Genzo? I say softly. Nothing. I try again. Genzo. When that still doesn't work, I give him a little shake. Gen, wake up! But which probably seems to roust him. Fuck, tell the queen I'll have to have it on her desk in the morning. He shifts with his grimace. Oh, are you some kind of hotshot royal advisor now? This must snap him out of it because he sits halfway up a little jerk, eyes blinking barely. He peers out into the cave, down his legs, then over at me. I see his eyes widen. He jerks his head away with a cough. Did you sleep well? He asks, his voice low and raspy. I said with a yawn, shoulders slouching. Good. Very good. Great. I can't keep a tiny smile from my lips. You, want to get some breakfast? That'd be divine. Also some coffee. Some hook that shit straight up into my veins. I laugh. Then with only awkward bumbling, we start over towards the fire pit. The rabbits are already up and about, scurrying around and doing, well, who knows what, really, but they're quite active with a good number of them around the fire as we approach. Holding half-eaten skewers drinking from mugs of what looks like coffee, thank fucking God. And once we nab plates for ourselves, we find some empty seats on either side of the flames. The warm ember is delightfully inviting in the crisp warm morning air. Genzo was strangely reserved next to me. I chalk it up to morning malaise if I didn't keep catching him looking at me, and didn't keep noticing his knee touching mine, the soft, almost hopeful smile tugging at his lips. It sends butterflies up to my chest, but not the uncomfortable kind. Warm ones, happy ones. And I ate my breakfast of fried potatoes and eggs in comfortable silence. Once breakfast is over, though, things begin to move quickly. A table of documents is cleared, only to be replaced with a single large map. Around the table, rabbits begin to gather, Jerry at the head of and conferring with what I can only guess are his top men. The remaining rabbits are no less active. They take their armor and weapons en masse, mending holes and rips, sewing new layers of hardened plates into the joints, sharpening daggers and spearheads. A few of them are even carving darts and arrows out of hardwood bark for an assortment of long-range options. I'm impressed, to say the least, though I'm not sure that wouldn't impress me at this point. Just that if you asked me my expectations before making this final Wonderland excursion, I would 100% not have set a rebel army of underground rabbits ready to wade into battle at the moment's notice. I feel a bit out of my league. I don't know enough about the turf, the enemy, the current situation to provide much in the way of strategic advice. But I try my best to follow along with the rabbit discussions, happening around the round table, as Jerry and his band of merry rabbits beleaguer the pros and cons of each assault on Castle Orlum. Gidget proves better than me at speaking on our needs as the only ones not 7 feet tall at the table. In fact, they seem completely in their element. On their feet next to Jerry and debating points of entry based on known rabbit concentration areas, a term Jerry and company kept throwing around as KRCAs. There's something quite regal about the site, about the way they expertly reboot ideas that would have required the three of us to move at speeds of up to 60 miles an hour to keep from having our heads lopped off. Well, while next to me, Genzo keeps coughing and making wisecracks about everything from rabbit mating rituals to Jerry's unnatural fixation on getting inside Orm's castle. This one receives a slap across the nose from Jerry's pawn moving stick. It's all quite a lot, really. But somehow between the group, a plan begins to develop. As I watch Jerry move one of the little wooden pawns to represent us across the map for umpteenth time, a realization hits me. This might actually work. Does it seem impossible? Mildly. Does it seem dangerous? Incredibly. But by golly, does the cogs seem to be turning in the right direction because for once, no one says a thing. Everyone just stares at the board. Jerry taps his stick against his shoulder, his gaze flickering around the table. Well? He finally says, voice rumbling in the base of his throat. Commence Operation Bottoms Up, I guess. Sewers. We're going in from the sewers. There's perhaps some mild irony in this, given how many times we've likely exited via the sewers in some form or another. But I try not to think about it. Instead, I focus on my final preparations. My final med check in the infirmary. My final weapons check in a rather exuberant rabbit named Lemmy. I settled on a small retractable dagger under under the assumption I'd injure myself in anything else. his name is Lemmy. That's adorable. A final meal with the noticeably tenser crew. Dinner is a giant pot of pine squirrel stew. My final empathetic shoulder touch from Gidget as they tell me everything's gonna be fine. Just fine. My final empathetic backslap from Genzo as he tells me we're all gonna die, before just as quickly retracting it. And fervently apologizing upon seeing the color drip from my face. And then once the sun begins to descend towards the horizon, we're off. The smaller battalions leave first. One after another splitting off, disappearing into the woods like whispers in the night. Iggy's perched on Rabbit's shoulders, tasked with recon work, sentry work, and the like. Everyone aware of their part in the plan, until it leaves only us, Gidget, Genzo, and I. And Jerry and his closest men, I guess. We're to occupy the appropriately named King's Point until everyone is in position and our turn in the campaign has arrived. Jerry squats on next to me, saying nothing. I must look at him with the blankest, most confounded expression in the world. Because he snorts in impatience, ears twitching. It'll take us an hour to get there at your speed. You want me to get on? Well, I don't want you to throw me a surprise 21st birthday bash now, do I? Don't get sassy with him, you overgrown chinchilla. Gizzo takes a menacing step forward, which only makes Jerry's fur bristle further. You want me to leave all you hairless monstrosities behind, you orotund jackass? Iggy, get on the giant rabbit man's back, please. As he Gidget's eyes twitch. Sorry, I say nothing and no one. Jerry huffs and resettles into his squat. I attempt to climb on, jumping a bit so I can wrap my arms around his neck. He pops back up immediately. I nearly slide straight off. Jerry grabs my bony knees and yanks me so tight against his back I just about my insides out onto the grass. Then gives a jerk with a nod at the others, who subsequently kneel down. I watch Genzo and Gidget latch themselves onto their own rabbit chariots. Whether it's the tightness of my grip or the way my arms are shaking, it must be obvious that I'm a bit rattled, because Jerry throws me a quick glance. I see his eyes soften for just a moment. I won't let you fall off. I blink, attempt to process the delivery of this information. But I'm not given the chance because in the next second the group is ready and Jerry makes a little click in the back of his throat, then leaps. I'm barely able to register what's happening at first. My head is thrown back as the wind launches itself straight into my face, into my nasal cavity, sending my hair flying and glasses nearly straight off my nose. In a motion that's more instinctive panic than anything else, I slam my face into the back of Jerry's neck, clinging to him like a leech. I can't see where we're going. I can only feel it, dodging in and out between trees, leaping over brush, sailing so smoothly across the rough turf you'd think his feet never even touched the ground. It's exhilarating, to be honest. Once, and once my initial terror has begun to abate, my heart no longer beating like a jackhammer in my ears, I ease up on my grip. The wind whips in my hair, like that of a dog sticking its head out the window. But I rest my cheek against the fur of Jerry's neck, closing my eyes against the rapidly passing landscape to keep from getting dizzy. I can feel him beneath me. The way his muscles pull and snap with swift movements the sun turns. I'm not sure I've ever felt simultaneously so out of control and in control in my entire life. Careening wildly yet knowingly, I'll still get to where I need to go. It's a fascinating feeling. I entertain the thought of looking back, searching for any sign of the others. But I decide against it when my stomach gives an unintelligent, unelegant gurgle. Best to just not move, perhaps. I'm not sure how long we run. 10, 20 minutes? The ground we cover must be substantial, though. At some point, I notice a shift in our trajectory, never so slight incline. As Jerry begins to slow, the trees passing by at less dizzying speeds as the veil overhead leaves begins to thin. Then we emerge. Jerry goes skating to a halt just beyond the line of trees. I instinctively clutch every inch of my body against him to keep from continuing my forward flight. He simply stands there for a second, waiting. Then a rabbit bursts out from the bush, and then another. The rest of our group appears one after the other. Jerry nods, another click in his throat before wandering off towards a nearby outcropping of rocks. When he plops the squat to me down, I promptly fall straight on my ass. God. I bring my hand to my head, my muscles trembling. I try to pull myself back to my feet, I simply stumble in the opposite direction, landing with a painful thud in my shoulder. Then becoming grown racked my frame. Iggy Gidget start towards me, their hand outstretched, before their knees crumble beneath them. While behind them, Genzo hasn't even left the ground, just staring up at the night sky as he moans something about his bones melting. Jerry and the rabbits ignore us, making their way purposefully towards the rocks and hunkering down behind them. I finally managed to push myself to a seat long enough to catch my bearings. We're on a small hill just outside the threshold of the forest. It's dark now, quiet dark, with nothing but the sound of crickets and cicadas punctuating silence. I start crawling over towards where Jerry and the other rabbits are conferring by the rocks. They stick my head curiously over the nearest stony barricade. A gas leaves my mouth before I can stop it, a little startled hiccup in the back of my throat. There it is, towering at the top of the sloping expanse like a needle piercing the sky. Black shadowy stronghold outlining the brilliant contrast against the thick medley of dark clouds overhead. The castle. I shrink back just a bit, stomach giving an unceremonious gurgle. Seeing it there in front of me, has suddenly made it real again. And all those memories I'd shoved temporarily beneath the surface of my brain so I'd be able to function or begin to bubble back up like a slowly boiling cauldron. I swallow hard. Jerry pops his head over the rocks next to me, ears twitching. There she is. Ghastly sight, no. You could say that. But her reign of terror over this land shall soon come to an end. Once the heartless hellion occupying her peak is slain. I blink, glance at Jerry. We're not killing him, you know. Jerry ignores me. Instead, turning back towards his fellow rabbits in continuing consultation. I take this opportunity to gaze out across the umbral expanse of land separating us from our target. I see a castle town. How many times has Genzo and I walked those streets? Back then, it had been devoid of life. Now it's devoid of, well, everything. The houses once lined the cobblestone piles of rubble. The roads are strewn with unidentifiable bric-a-brac. And the once tinkling fountain has turned into a dank pond of muck that bubbles and hisses with acidic pops. Past the town itself, I see the path winding up towards the castle. And its tiny grasses are now grown over the sides and rising between the bricks. Even the trees themselves appear to be weeping, slouched over like heaving billows with their leaves scraping the earth. There's little movement to be seen in the dark. Nothing but the occasional lurking shadow moving between the murky depths of the ruins. According to Jerry's men, though, this place is a breeding ground for rabbit soldiers. That thought alone is enough to make the hair on the back of my neck stand up like lightning rods as I robe the parameter. Genzo crawls on like, he just peeks out like, hello. Genzo crawls up next to me and I hear him let out a little oomph as he pushes himself onto the rock in order to see. Makes your dick shrivel up like a California raisin, don't it? He whistles beneath his breath. It's certainly not instilling much confidence. Guess that fucker wasn't happy with the previous aesthetic. Not sadistic murder you in your sleep enough for the old pepper-pocked people eater. I roll my eyes, not that he doesn't have a point, but Gidget rises up on my other side with a small grunt. Seeing it is, indeed, a lot different than simply talking about it. The brows furrow with a worried shudder. I only hope the plan will work. The plan will work. Jesus, I know they're on our side, but why do they have to be so fucking creepy sometimes? Gizzo hisses. I heard that. Want me to say it louder? Let's review the plan again, shall we? Gizzo cuts in through with a cough. And I shoot them a smile of gratitude. Yes, the plan. Very good. Jerry's ears flick to the left, to the right. I see him peer out across the darkened plain. Stage 1 is already in motion, if my ears don't deceive me. I blink, strain my ears, but hear nothing. It is? Yes. The two northbound squadrons have already begun their approach. They'll aggro the two KRCAs east to the main gates. That's when our long-ranged unit will move into position in the bread box. Bread box? Gives those Snickers next to me. Jerry shows me a glare, but otherwise doesn't react. They'll provide cover for the first squad to begin their push towards the main gate. While they draw fire from the remaining units in town, our squad will circle around the westward side, and then cut left of the moat and follow it down to the sewer entrance. You'll be safe once you're inside. The bars are spread too closely for us rabbits to get in. But you three should be able to slip inside without much trouble. Bet that's not the only thing you wish you could slip inside, Genzo calls into his hand. I see Jerry's eyes twitch. But Gidget keeps the conversation moving. If we're lucky, there will be barely any rabbits left to notice us, let alone attack. Yeah, and if we're unlucky, there will be a whole passel of them waiting to sink their oversized bicuspids into our larynx. My stomach gurgles unceremoniously at the thought, and I flinch in spite of myself. If we're unlucky, we'll have Jerry and his squad to hold any surprise forces off until we reach sewers. To think that I'd be trusting my life in the guy whose ears are longer than his and once you're inside, Jerry starts with his words punchy. Yes, once you're inside, we all look at him. He blinks. Actually, I had no idea what it looks like inside. I was one of the first to leave. That was before, well, all of this. I swallowed the spit getting stuck in my throat. If it's this bad on the outside, I'd say what's the worst he could do except, well, we've seen the worst he could do and it ain't pretty. At any rate, I have the utmost faith in you. Once inside, you know what to do. Find our once and future king. Jerry sends his arms out, ears go ram straight, and snuff him out once and for all. We're not killing him, you know. We're not killing him, you know. But Jerry ignores me again, arms folding across his chest as he returns to listening for signs of our plan's progress. He pauses for a moment, then reaches for something in his tunic. It's a small vial of sorts, filled with pale pink slop marinating in red soup. It takes me a moment to realize what I'm looking at. Is that? My stomach twists and turns. trail bomb, Jerry says simply, then hands it to Gidget. Those things go gaga for this stuff. Gidget takes it, twists back and forth between their fingers. We bottled a bunch back when your kind still populated this place. They didn't last long after the hunting spree started. Jerry's eyes darken as he pauses for a moment. There's no twitches. Anyway, it's good bait, quite potent. We'll get you out of a pinch if need be. But it won't last long. They know it's pretty quick when there's nobody accompanying the gooey bits, so don't dawdle. Thanks. Gidget tucks the vial away in the inner pocket of their shirt. Though I suppose I should say I hope we don't have to use it. Indeed. How come I don't get a nasty bowel bottle? Because we don't have many left and I don't trust you, Jerry snaps, which makes Genzo pout. I let my gaze drop into a small retractable dagger attached to my belt loop. I hope I won't ever have to use it either. With a thump, I slide back down to the rock until my feet hits the grass. Suddenly, the plan had seemed to make so much sense back in the cave feels like an impossible feat. Seeing that castle in the distance, all those feelings bubbling up inside my chest. You okay, Iggs? Genzo slides down next to me with a clumsy thwomp. Gidget pops a squat down the other side, jaw taut. You worried about anything in particular? Besides hoping we all don't die? My voice crackles in emphasis. I rub my eyes, thumb massaging the bridge of my nose. Not that we haven't before, many times, but I feel it's different this time. Yeah, I guess. It's true. This is the first time we've done any of this, Gidget muses. So it does feel significant somehow. Also, I guess I stop, cringe, let my gaze drop to the rocks below. I just hope there's something we can do. That he's not too far gone. Gidget's face darkens at this. He grunts but doesn't say anything, hands propped up on his knees as he picks idly at his thumbs. We'll do what we can. Gidget gives my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. We'll drag him out of that castle, kicking and screaming if we have to. This thought does bring a smile on my face, and I feel a little bit of the anxiety squeezing my heart loosen. They've made contact. Jerry's voice snaps us back to attention. He's gone perfectly still, ears to as straight as TV antennae searching for a signal. TJ pushes himself back to their feet, voice low. The northern squads? Jerry hums an affirmation. This is enough to bring me to my feet as well, despite the tremor on my knees. I can feel my heart picking up again, this like steady, accelerating metronome in my chest. Genzo follows behind, though conspicuously silent and lacking his earlier vivacity. One of the other rabbits ducks out beside Jerry. His movements crisp. Long-range units in position, sir. They've already had to drive back a few hostiles. More stragglers than anticipated, then. Jerry clicks the back of his teeth together. Not ideal, but we've done it worse. Does this mean we'll be going soon? I try to sound confident despite the warble in my voice. Jerry ignores me instead of flicking his head in the direction of town. The other rabbits seem to know that this means and go bounding off down the hill. Come on, Jerry says simply, then takes off after him. David simply watch him go for a moment. Then, despite taking a moment longer to register, then Gidget goes running. With Gizzo on their tail, I had no choice but to scramble after them. Fingers and toes slowly numb from the growing apprehension as I sprint down the hill and out across a dark field. It's a surreal feeling. Being out there in the middle of all that darkness. Nothing but the moon to guide my path. My heart races, my feet pound against the dirt. I can barely see the companions up ahead, which only worsens my dread. I push my legs harder, whipping past grasses and thistles like white-topped streak in the dark. We race across the field, up in the buildings in the outskirts of town. I see rabbits come to a halt what looks like the remains of a large shed, and I book it after them. Clutch my eyes shut as I put everything I can to my last leg of my sprint. They probably trip and fall a few feet away, sliding across the gravel with a wind-seducing thud. Eggs! Gizzo hisses. I see his paunchy shadow start towards me. But Jerry makes it there first, hauling me up single-handedly back of my shirt and carrying me back towards the building. I barely had time to register what was happening before he dropped me back to the ground and grabbed my wrist with a yank. You're staying with me. Get your fucking hands. Do you want him to die? He stops Genzo in his tracks. He steps back with a Haroon fixing his hat. I sink somewhat shamefully back against the wall, Jerry's hand still clenched around my wrist bone. Jerry jerks back to peer around the side of the building. From my vantage point, I can see a grass turned to cobblestone only a few feet away. Wait, but not much else. In my mind, though, I can see the small castle town as though it were yesterday. The quaint yet empty streets. The fountain tinkling in the central square. And the air of disquietude hanging over everything like a dewy veil. I wonder what happened to the villagers in this timeline. This thought sends a shudder up my spine. I see Jerry's ears jerk left, right, no switches. First squad is moving in, he simply says. Then turns back. Seems to realize how tightly he's gripping my arm, and probably releases it with a jerk. Sorry. I shake my head silently, massaging my wrist. You've kind of got the vibe of a newborn kid. This makes me blanch. It's kind of... He doesn't finish. Instead of turning his head away with a small cough, tips his ears curling. I find myself at a bit of a loss, so I simply stand there, staring down at the small tuft of grass next to my feet. Anyways, we gotta get you to the castle in one piece. So you can find that rat-tailed bastard. And silence him for good. He emphasizes it with a punch in his palm. How many times do I gotta say it, man? We're not killing him, you know. I mean, though this time I'm pretty sure he knows at this point because he said it twice already. Say nothing. I grimace and bite down my tongue, but say nothing. This feels like a pretty crucial juncture. Perhaps now isn't the best time to nitpicking lexicon. So I say nothing. Jerry returns to his attention to the side of the shed, and the sounds of combat beginning to drift their way towards us. We grow silent. A whole lot of us huddled at the ready behind the shed, just waiting. Then, they're almost at the gate. Let's move. Jerry gives another click, and the other rabbits take off, back around the other side of the shed, disappearing into the night. Begin to engage a glance at each other, then at me. I turn equally as bewildered look in Jerry's direction, who just stares at us blankly. Finally, what are you waiting for? Go! He flings his arms as though shooing us along. I'll take up the rear. This is enough to spur us into action. We take off, running. Why is it always running? I do better this time, though, focusing my attention. We go whipping by the building in the outskirts of town, like a shadow through the night, keeping the outlines of the companions in my sights. My lungs fight with every step of the way, but I push past it, willing speed and strength into my legs. We cut to a stop in our building a short distance away, huddled in the dark. Silence. Then Rabbit in the lead jerks his head. And we're off again. Alright. I think this might be an awkward way to leave it, but I'm going to leave this video here for now. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, share this video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.